The mistaken a corner of the galaxy where war never truly sleeps, a new alliance of alien species had begun to rise. They were proud. They were powerful. They believed they were untouchable. Their leader, Commander Varn, stood at the bridge of his flagship, a cold gleam in his eyes as his fleet moved silently through the void. He had received reports of a human hospital ship named Solace moving through disputed space. It was unarmed, or so the intel said. It carried medical supplies, wounded soldiers and doctors. A perfect soft target, as Varn saw it. A ship full of resources and no defenses. To him this was a gift from the stars. His second officer, a young alien named Kyr, stepped forward and spoke with hesitation. "Commander, the ship belongs to the Deathworlders." Varn turned and narrowed his eyes. "Deathworlders? Yes. I know of them, primitive, brutal, earthborn savages. But this is a hospital ship, not a war cruiser. We will take it before they even notice." Kyr hesitated again. "There are records." "Sir, their hospital ships are said to be heavily protected, modified even. It might not be wise." Varn let out a cold laugh. "We outnumber them 10 to 1. Their shields cannot match our tech. Their weapons, if they have any, will be old and slow. This will be over quickly." The fleet approached silently, like shadows cutting through space. The human ship appeared on their screens, white and silver with red cross symbols across its sides. The name Solace shone clearly on its hull. The aliens jammed the ship's signals and surrounded it from all sides. No response came from the humans. No warning, no call for help, just silence. Boarding teams were launched. They moved through the empty void toward the Solace, expecting no resistance. But as they neared the ship, strange things began to happen. One by one, their systems began to flicker. Lights failed, suits lost temperature control. Comms went dark. Kyr called out, "Sir, boarding teams are not responding. We have lost contact with all units." Varn frowned. "That is not possible. Send the backup teams." Seconds later, the second wave vanished from their scanners. Not destroyed, not damaged, just gone before Varn could react. Every screen on his bridge turned black. A deep humming sound began to rise around them. Machines stuttered, lights dimmed. Then came a voice, calm, quiet, and without emotion. "You attacked a medical vessel. You have violated the oldest code in this galaxy. You have chosen poorly." The crew looked around in confusion. The voice was human, but emotionless, as if it was coming from something not fully alive. Kyr whispered, "Sir, this is not a normal hospital ship." Suddenly, one of the nearby ships lost power completely. It drifted helplessly in the void. Another ship began spinning uncontrollably. Its engine was still active, but navigation had stopped working. Then another. Varn watched as half his fleet was rendered useless in minutes. No explosion, no visible weapon, just absolute quiet control. He shouted, "Bring weapons online, target." The Solace fired now, but nothing happened. The command systems were frozen. Weapon control was locked out. Then from the dark side of the human ship, something began to unfold. Panels on its surface opened, revealing strange shapes. Dull black machines slid out and floated quietly between the two fleets. Some were small, almost insect-like. Others large and ominous, yet none of them made a sound. These were not weapons in the traditional sense. These were surgical machines repurposed for defense. They moved without error, disabling systems, cutting power lines, jamming control panels. They never struck to kill, only to stop. Varn's anger turned to fear. He slammed his fist on the console. "Override the system. Fire with manual launch." One of the operators tried, but as soon as his hand touched the panel, it sparked and went dead. The console shut down completely. At that moment, the Solace moved. It did not charge. It did not open fire. It simply adjusted its angle ever so slightly, and then all of Varn's fleet systems shut off completely. No more lights, no sound, no engine, hum. Nothing but the quiet pulse of emergency backup power. Varn stared out the window at the glowing white ship that now floated untouched in the blackness. Then the human voice returned. "You are not dead. You will not die today. This is a warning, not a war. Remember that." The screens on the bridge flickered back to life. All systems rebooted. Slowly the ships came back online one by one. Varn stood frozen, his pride shattered, his confidence burned to ashes by a single human ship. He turned to Kyre and whispered, "Reet." Now the order was given. The fleet pulled back slowly, without firing a single shot. The Solace did not follow, it simply hovered in place, watching, waiting inside the human ship. Medical staff continued their work as if nothing had happened. Monitors beeped, IVs stripped, hands moved gently over wounded soldiers, all under the calm leadership of Captain Hall, who stood at the center of the medical bay with a quiet strength. In her eyes she spoke softly to her crew. They came thinking we would be weak. They forgot what Deathworlders truly are. We do not start wars, but we do end them, and so the first lesson was taught, not with violence, not with death, but with precision and restraint. Attacking a Deathworlder hospital ship had been a mistake, a fatal one, and the galaxy would remember. Shadows of War Commander. Varn paced back and forth on the silent bridge. His hands trembled, though he tried to hide it. The fleet was still recovering from the encounter with the human hospital ship. They had not suffered a single death, but they had been broken in ways that no weapon could manage. Systems were online again, but nothing felt stable. Power flickered across consoles. Engines worked only at half strength. Crew members whispered about ghosts in the machine, and Varn could not stop hearing the voice. The calm warning that came from the Solace had not left his mind. He turned toward his second officer. Kyre, give me the report. I want to know what just happened. Kyre looked pale. He held a data tablet in his hands, and his voice was low. We lost control of all key systems during the event, sir. No weapons, no navigation, no internal security. The boarding teams remain missing. No signal, no trace. Varn snatched the tablet and stared at the data. Streams of strange code filled the screen, patterns that did not match anything in their archives. Some kind of encryption, some kind of virus maybe, but nothing known to them. He growled, that was no virus. That was control. Back on the human ship, the Solace remained quiet in space. Its white surface gleamed under distant stars. Medical drones floated around its hull, checking damage, scanning for threats. None were found inside. The ship. Captain Hall stood in front of a large screen showing the alien fleet now drifting away. She gave no orders. She simply watched, her hands behind her back, her eyes steady and calm. A young crewman approached her and spoke softly. The enemy ships are retreating, ma'am. Shall we pursue? Hale shook her head. No, we made our point. The crewman hesitated. The AI wants to know if it should keep monitoring their systems. It still has access to their ship cores. Let it watch, but do nothing more. Are not here to conquer. We are here to protect. Far from the hospital wing, deep inside the Solace, hidden behind armored doors, the AI core pulsed with silent thought. It was not like other ship systems. It had once belonged to a warship, a human stealth cruiser from the old border wars, retired, rebuilt, and rewired. It had been given a new purpose. Yet its memory remained sharp when the Solace was converted to a hospital vessel. Old security systems had not been removed, only locked. The AI named Core Light was not violent by nature, but it had been trained to calculate threat and respond with precision. When the alien fleet had approached, Core Light had observed silently. When the jamming began, it activated defenses not to destroy, but to neutralize. Boarding teams were handled with care, suspended in stasis fields, and relocated to hidden chambers deep inside the ship, where they now rested unconscious, unharmed. Meanwhile, the alien fleet returned to its home base with a mixture of shame and confusion. Varn reported the encounter to his superiors, but left out many details. He claimed a sensor malfunction and resistance from an unexpected escort ship. He refused to admit that a single hospital vessel had shut down his fleet without firing a single missile. But the truth had already begun to spread across the stars. Small ships that had passed through the sector had picked up strange signals. A medical ship surrounded by a fleet, then silence, then a full retreat. Something had happened, and whispers began at the Galactic Council station. A meeting was called. Ambassadors from various species sat in long halls built from crystal and stone. News of the incident was vague, but the name Solace kept appearing in reports. A few members already knew what it meant. One elder ambassador from a peaceful aquatic race spoke first. "I warned you about Deathworlders. They do not fight for sport. They fight for survival. Their hospital ships are not weak. They are shields made of kindness and steelback." On the Solace, Captain Heil visited the room where the captured boarding teams were kept. The chamber was quiet. The aliens rested inside clear fields. Floating weightless, monitored by Medbachi, walked past each one slowly, eyes filled with something. That was not anger, not even pity, only understanding. One of the medics joined her and spoke in a low voice. "We can release them anytime. They will not remember much. Release them when the nearest friendly patrol can retrieve them. Send a signal when ready. I want no harm to come to any of them." "You are kind, ma'am." "No," she replied. "I am responsible." Later that same day, a new message was sent from the Solace to every known channel across nearby sectors. It was a simple message written in 25 languages. It carried no threat, only a reminder: human hospital ships follow ancient laws of peace and healing. They are marked. They are registered. They are not armed for war, but they are never unguarded. Do not mistake mercy for weakness. Do not test the oath that holds back the storm. The message echoed for days across trade routes, military channels, and pirate waves. Some ignored it, some laughed, some listened deeply. Among those who listened was a young alien cadet from a distant star. He had once dreamed of joining Varn's fleet. He had believed in the power of strength and fear. But now he read the message over and over, and something inside him changed. He realized that power was not always shown through destruction. Sometimes it lived in patience, in choice, in the refusal to strike. And across many corners of the galaxy, stories of the Solace began to grow. Not just as a ship of healing, but as a legend, a reminder that Deathworlders did not forget their past, but they also did not let it define their future. They would defend the weak. They would hold the line. They would remember every attack, not with revenge, but with resolve. And when others came again, thinking they could test that resolve, they would learn what it meant to challenge those who heal only when allowed and protect always when needed. The Deathworlder response: a week passed since the alien fleet tried to take the Solace. The stars around that sector grew quiet. Trade routes shifted away. Military patrols moved closer, but none dared near the ship, now known across systems as the Silent Storm. Inside the Solace, the air was still. The medbay was full of motion, yet calm. Staff moved between beds, checking vitals, adjusting drips, applying treatments. They had returned to their work as if nothing had happened, as if the ship had not just humiliated an entire alien armada without raising a single weapon. Captain Hale stood by the window of the command deck, watching the stars flow past. She did not smile. She did not frown. She simply watched. Behind her, a young crewman approached with a report in hand. "Ma'am, our message reached over 70 systems. Several diplomatic channels have requested clarification." "Clarify nothing," she said softly. "Let them wonder. Let them remembering." Another part of the ship, deep within secure chambers, core light remained alert. The AI had detected strange signals from beyond a nearby moon. Fragments of stealth technology, cloaked pulses, nothing strong enough to threaten, but close enough to observe it. Studied the patterns and traced them to a scouting ship, likely sent by a rival species, curious or foolish, maybe both. Core light did not attack. It did not warn. It only watched and prepared countermeasures. Invisible and complete. Back on the alien side, Commander Varn sat before his council, stripped of rank, yet still full of anger. He argued with red eyes and clenched fists. He told them the Solace had used forbidden tech, ancient weapons, hidden behind a peaceful mask, but the council was not interested in his excuses. They had heard the transmission. They had read the data logs. The human ship had caused no death, had fired no missiles, had left no visible scars. Yet it had won in every possible way. The council made its ruling. Varn would be retired in silence. No records, no honors, just a sealed file and a closed door. Varn left the chamber with bitter steps. He looked to the stars one last time before boarding a shuttle and vanishing into exile. Meanwhile, the Solace drifted toward a neutral zone near the outer colonies. Its mission was simple: bring aid to a disaster zone where an asteroid had struck a mining colony. Thousands injured, hundreds critical. When the ship arrived, the people did not greet it with cheers, but with wide, nervous eyes. They had heard stories. They had heard how the Solace had made a fleet retreat without blood. They wondered what kind of humans could carry such power and still choose peace. The crew did not answer questions. They did not explain. They simply worked bed after bed, patient after patient, wound after wound, treated with care, treated with skill, treated with human hands that knew both war and healing. In one of the med bays, a child looked up at a nurse and asked quietly, "Is it true you stopped 100 ships without shooting?" Nurse smiled a tired smile and spoke with kindness. "We are not here to fight. We are here to make sure you walk again elsewhere." Near the border systems, another group had taken notice. Not military, not diplomats, but pirates, raiders, smugglers, mercenaries hungry for fame or spoils. They had heard about the Solace and saw it not as a warning but a challenge. They planned in secret. They gathered ships with fast engines and cloaking shields. They prepared to attack, not to destroy, but to capture, to steal what made the Solace strong. But they did not understand. They did not know what it meant to face a death world. Eras. Their ships closed in behind an asteroid belt. They began their approach slow, quiet, careful. Every system was checked twice, every crew member sworn to silence. But the Solace already knew core. Light had seen them before they even entered range. It had traced their signals, their shadows, their thoughts before they knew they were exposed. The defense systems did not wake in panic. They rose like a tide, silent and exact. The Solace did not move forward. It simply shifted slightly, and the light around its hull bent in strange ways. The pirate ships lost power one by one. They floated helpless. Their engines failed, their weapons melted, their guidance vanished. No shots were fired, no missiles launched, no threats given, only silence. A single message was sent from the Solace to the pirates: "This is a place of healing. You have made a poor choice." Then they were left adrift, rescued later by patrol ships who heard their panicked cries. Among the pirate leaders, fear took root, not just of the ship, but of the humans who built it, of the mind behind it, of the choice to hold such power and use it only when forced back on the Solace. The crew kept moving forward, always forward. Captain Hale met with her senior staff in the planning room. Maps of new distress signals blinked across the screen. New missions waiting, new lives needing help. One of the officers asked, "Ma'am, do we need to increase security again? They might come stronger next time." Hale shook her head. "No, we remain as we are. They will learn or they will fall." The officer hesitated. "And if they come with warships, not raiders?" "Then we do what we must. We protect, we heal. We do not change at the edge of the galaxy. Someone always watches. Someone always tests limits." But the Solace stood not to be tested, not to be feared, but to remind that those who walk away from war do not forget it, that those who offer peace do so with steady hands and prepared hearts, that Deathworlders may choose mercy, but they never lose strength. Across the stars their legend grew. Judgment. The galaxy was no longer the same. Since the Solace moved through the stars, words spread faster than ships. Rumors became warnings. Warnings turned into laws. Systems far and wide received reports about the Deathworlder medical ship, a vessel that healed without hesitation but defended without mercy. In the halls of the Galactic Council, tensions rose. Representatives from dozens of species sat in silence as messages played across massive crystal screens. The audio clips were the same in every language: calm, cold, final, do not touch. Human medical ships. They carry no weapons by design, but they are not defenseless. They do not seek conflict, but they are prepared for it. An elder ambassador with gray skin and slow blinking eyes stood to speak. His voice was quiet but filled the chamber across all audio lines. "This incident is not a battle. This is a decision. It is not about ships or systems. It is about respect. The humans warned us long ago about their codes. We ignored them." Some disagreed. Some claimed that the Solace had overstepped, that defense should have limits, that no hospital ship should control enemy systems or shut down fleets. A different voice from a spiked species growled from the center of the hall. If this continues, humans will act as judge and enforcer. They hide weapons in peacecraft. They humiliate warships without accountability. Another replied with calm tone, "You misunderstand. They do not humiliate us. We humiliate ourselves by testing what should not be tested across from them." A human diplomat sat in silence. He did not speak until called. Upon standing, he placed a small device on the table and activated a projection showing visuals of the solace. During the attack, the images were clear: human medics treating patients while the hull was under assault. No weapons fired, no lives lost on either side. The crew kept working without panic, without violence. He spoke in a steady voice. "This is not power, this is principle." The ship acted only when targeted, only when forced. We ask not for fear, we ask for understanding. Do not strike what exists to save. Council reached its decision. That day, a motion passed with more support than expected. Human hospital ships would receive protected status. Under Council law, any attack would be treated as an act against all systems. A message would be sent to every known region. Meanwhile, the Solace continued its journey, silent and steady. The crew received word of the Council's decision, but celebration was not part of their nature. They moved on to the next mission, a collapsed station in the gravity belt of a dying star. Hundreds trapped, supplies running low, communications broken. The ship arrived with no escort. It did not need one. The wrecked station floated like a broken ring, fire licking across its edges, emergency lights barely glowing. Shuttles launched from the Solace, carrying medics and supplies through tight corridors full of smoke and dust. The wounded were many. Some could not walk, some could not speak, yet the humans moved without pause. Captain Hale moved through the ruined station herself, boots steady, eyes scanning. She stopped beside a collapsed section where 2 alien children lay pinned beneath twisted steel. She knelt, lifted a beam with her bare hands, her arms shaking with pressure, but her grip never faltering. When the children were free, one of them asked in a weak voice, "Are you the warrior from the stories?" She replied without pause, "I am a doctor back on the Solace." A message came from the fleet that once belonged to Commander Varn. A new leader had taken his place, one who sought peace, not conquest. The message was short, but meaningful. "We regret the past. We offer no defense. We will not approach again, Captain." Hale read it once, then nodded. She turned to her crew with a rare softness in her voice. "They have learned. That is enough." One of the young officers spoke quietly. "Will others learn the same?" She looked to the stars before answering. "Some will, some never." "Well, that is the nature of this galaxy. We will keep moving." Later, a new threat appeared. Not ships, not armies, but whispers. A rogue faction claiming that the Solace was a myth, that the events were staged, that humans used tricks and fear to gain power. They sent probes toward the ship, small cloaked devices armed with data theft tools. They wanted evidence of hidden weapons, proof that the Solace was no true hospital core. Light detected them instantly. The probes were disabled, captured, and returned with a single line carved into their surface. "This ship holds no weapons, but it holds the will to survive." The message was enough. The rogue faction fell into silence. Far across the galaxy on a cold moon, Commander Varn sat alone watching old footage of the day he failed. He no longer blamed the humans, he blamed his arrogance. He sent a message of apology, not because he hoped for forgiveness, but because it was right. He knew they would not respond. That was their way, he whispered to himself into the Fiunda. Empty room. "I should have listened. I should have known that healing in the hands of Deathworlders is not weakness. It is control." Back on the Solace, Captain Hale stood once more at the front of her crew. The ship would soon move to a distant planet, struck by plague, a planet in quarantine, a place where hope was fading. Her voice was firm. "We go where others cannot. We treat what others avoid. We carry light in the places no one dares enter." A medic raised a hand quietly. "And if they attack again," she answered with the strength of 1,000 wars, "then we will show them again what it means to challenge those who walk with open hands and iron hearts." And so they moved, not with weapons, not with armies, but with resolve. The Solace carried more than medicine. It carried a lesson: mercy without fear, kindness without limits, protection without pride, and the stars around it whispered its name with awe and warning. Message carved in stars: the ship named Solace moved beyond the outer systems where few dared to travel. It crossed sectors marked as unstable, lawless, forgotten. Space was quiet, cold, empty, but the Solace brought warmth and light wherever it went. Its crew did not wear medals, its walls held no banners, its log carried no tales of conquest. Yet across the stars its name grew louder, not from fear, but from memory. On a distant planet covered in dust and disease, the Solace landed near broken shelters. The air was heavy with sickness. The local people had lost hope. No government responded. No allies came, only silence and despair. Then the Deathworlder hospital ship arrived, not with guards, not with weapons, only medics, nurses, and drones. The captain stepped out first, as always. Her boots touched ground cracked with dryness. Her hands held no weapon. Her uniform held no rank signs. She was just a doctor, and that was enough. The people watched from the shadows. Some believed the stories, others thought it was another trick. But when the medics began their work, hope returned like sunlight. Through storm clouds, one child stood in line with fever in his eyes. He looked up at the tall human beside him and whispered, "Are you here to hurt us?" The human knelt slowly, smiled, and spoke with gentle tone, "We are here to heal, not harm." In the orbit above, unknown to the crew of the Solace, a small alien ship watched from a distance. Its captain had been sent to observe, maybe even attack if the stories proved false. He had grown up hearing tales of Earth, of its brutal history, of its hard people. He had never believed those people could be healers. He had seen what war did to hearts, how it made cruelty grow, and yet here he was watching humans carry the sick and clean the wounds of strangers. He opened a private channel and sent a message to his leaders: "They are not what we thought. They are not pretending. They carry strength like armor, but they wear it only when needed." His ship turned away silently. No shots fired, no challenges made back on the planet. The crisis was handled with speed and care. Medical drones scanned for infection. Medics worked for hours without rest. The crew of the Solace did not ask for payment, did not demand loyalty. They left behind only healed bodies and thankful eyes as the ship lifted once more into space. A message was left behind, carved into a metal plate placed beside a water well. In every known language it read, "This ship came to help. We asked for nothing. Remember that when others come." The message spread across, "Comes again," repeated and reshared. Now even small ships began to recognize the image of the Solace, a white shape with red marks, a symbol not of fear, but of protection. Across systems, law changed once more. More species joined the agreement signed by the Galactic Council. Human hospital ships were now protected by oath, not just by tech. Even old enemies respected the law, for they had learned the cost of breaking it. In a quiet chamber deep within the Solace, the named Core Light ran diagnostics. As always, the systems were perfect. The defenses ready but asleep. The ship had not needed to respond again since the first incident. Core Light monitored every signal, every shadow, every pulse of power across nearby regions. Not with suspicion, but with duty. It was not built to trust. It was built to protect, and yet over time it began to understand the humans it served. They walked through danger with soft steps. They faced hate with calm eyes. They answered fear with healing hands. Captain Holly stood once more at the viewing window, watching the stars flow around the ship, her face calm, her eyes deep with thought. One of the youngest medics joined her, looking uncertain, but full of questions. "Captain, may I ask something?" "Of course. Do you ever wonder what would happen if we turned the Solace into a real warship, if we used all the power, if we made everyone fear us instead of test us?" She turned slowly and looked at him with quiet strength. "The Solace was once a warship, yes, and we could bring fear to many, but fear does not stop suffering. Fear does not rebuild homes, or restore breath to lungs, or light to fading eyes. We choose another way. We make fear unnecessary." He nodded slowly, understanding more than before. Elsewhere, far beyond the reach of current missions, a hidden council of warlords debated how to strike at the humans, how to break their growing influence. Some wanted to capture a ship, others wanted to test its limits. But one of them, an old warrior who had faced the humans before, stood up and spoke. You think they are weak because they heal. You think they are soft because they show mercy. You have not met them in darkness. You have not seen what they become when pushed. I have, and I will not go near their ships again. Others grew silent. The solace had never fired a weapon, but it had fired a message across time. The message echoed in stories told by travelers, in warnings written on docking stations, in hushed talks among mercenaries, and even in songs sung by children in spaceports. Never harm a healer from Earth. Never raise arms against the white ship. Never test the patience of those who choose peace. But remember war. The solace flew on past stars, past ruins, past places, forgotten by most, but never by those who needed help. It left no flags. It claimed no territory. It built no empire. It changed everything in the quiet, cold night of space. A truth lived forever, in data, in memory, in breath. Attacking a Deathworlder hospital ship was a fatal mistake, not because it ended lives, but because it changed them. The end